Welcome back to Sunday Vibes, one and all. We're back in the studio. No Chris Hamill though today. He is off. He's been replaced by Mr. Bean himself. It's Michael McCubbin and Alexis Sanchez's agent by the looks of it.
Yeah.
What is going on with this suit, mate?
Just looking nice today. Actually, there's a new strand potentially coming out in the near future. Keep your eyes peeled for that. A little treat for you.
Oh, look at that watch. Rose gold watch. It doesn't get better than that. But let's kick off and get straight into your questions. The first one is Chelsea's transfer business. What on earth is going on? This one comes from Darius87. Mikey, why don't you start us? What is going on at Chelsea?
Well, it's all a bit bizarre, isn't it? I mean, obviously Carroll's off now due to that injury. But had they signed him, their last three signings would have been Andy Carroll, Ross Barkley, and Danny Drinkwater, which is it's very strange and like so unlike Chelsea. The Chelsea that we know at least. I mean, my initial thoughts were that they would be doing it for fulfill some homegrown quota, maybe.
Yeah.
Which may be possible. I can't think of that many English players in the Chelsea team. But then other things saying that these are players that Conte specifically wants to go for, which is just completely dumbfounding.
Yeah, it's really weird, that is.
And especially now that there's this rumour about Peter Crouch being wanted by the club, which to me is complete. Like that is.
It's great.
It's totally absurd. Like Peter Crouch isn't really even a target man anymore.
No,
it hasn't been like 30 years. It doesn't really fit the bill. He's just really tall, which just makes the whole thing. It's like there's an 8-year-old like running the board.
But it is a weird one because apparently Conte has specifically asked for these people personally, and that the Chelsea board don't want them.
Well, that's because the Chelsea board generally are pretty good at their jobs. I mean, like Conte wanted Llorente, of course. Let's not forget in the summer, and then Spurs got him instead. Basically, for a long time, Chelsea's transfer policy has been run by Marina Granovskaya, who's a director of the club, and a guy called Marco Emenalo, who's the technical director. He's the guy who finds these little gems that come into the academy, they play out on loan for a couple of seasons, then they sell them on for an absolute fortune. Yeah, I mean, they could have got more for those guys, but generally speaking, they're really good at finding talent, and often when they've let talent go, it's been because whoever was manager at the time, Mourinho, didn't really fancy those players. Now, Emenalo left earlier in the season, of course, after Conte criticised the club's recruitment. And now you wonder if Emenalo's role was simply to go into rooms where people were discussing Peter Crouch and Andy Carroll and say, what the f*** are you doing? Like, you've gone absolutely mental. They're apparently willing to let Batshuayi go to bring Andy Carroll or Crouch or whichever giant they've decided they want in. And it makes no sense to me at all. I mean, if they really want a target man, you know, offer David Luiz in exchange for Olivier Giroud or something like, or try and get Mandzukic out of Juventus, who's got other talents. It just seems so strange. And I understand Conte wants a plan B, but my God, I mean, it looks like he's leaving in the summer, and now they're essentially sacrificing the long-term welfare of the club for the short-term performance they might get out of whichever big guy Conte wants.
Yeah, it's a really weird one, because obviously I think it's Scott Macklin who is the head scout, or was the head scout. He's kind of filled in the void of Emiliano, but I don't know why Conte is going for these sort of players. Admittedly, I think we can all agree, or at least me and Pato definitely do, that Conte is probably going to leave in the summer. I think he's had his time at Chelsea. I don't think the Chelsea board particularly like him. I don't think he particularly likes the Chelsea board. And it almost feels like these are 6-month moves. I think the rumours were Carroll was going to be a loan move. The rumours are that Peter Crouch might well be a 6-month loan move as well. And that just would worry me as a Chelsea fan. He's chucking it away. It's almost like he doesn't care anymore.
Yeah.
What is the point of signing Peter Crouch on a 6-month loan when you've got Batshuayi on playing in the background? It feels really, really weird. And another worry I would have is, what does that mean for the future of Tammy Abraham? What does that mean for the future of Ruben Loftus-Cheek when Ross Barkley comes? Because these youngsters, we've talked about it over and over and over again on Sunday Vibes and other shows, these youngsters are being wasted at Chelsea. They're being developed and then sold on for 15 to 25 million pounds and then replaced with a player who costs around the same or a little bit more, and they get the game time. It's very, very strange for Antonio Conte. The fact that it's Peter Crouch being linked worries me even more, because it's no strategy. There is no strategy. He has gone, somebody at the club has gone, we need a target man. let's get a big boy. There's no scouting being done there. There cannot be any scouting being done to sign Peter Crouch.
Yeah, it's like there's a Wikipedia page that's like footballers above 6 foot.
It's like they've gone on Football Manager, typed in target man and sorted by height. It's really, really weird because there's no way an analytics expert or even the head scout Scott Mcklin has gone, you know what, I've looked at his numbers and his shots inside the box are fantastic. His aerial win percentage is really, really good. It can't be happening.
He wasn't even starting games that much until more recently.
Like he can't get in the Stoke team. And not just
one of the worst teams in the league.
not just these signings, but we look back, Drinkwater, Barkley, they're very, like you said, un-Chelsea-like signings. They're not the sort of players you would associate with the club. And when the likes of Alexis Sanchez are wondering about, his name's being floated, I know that Chelsea have maybe had a nibble, but they've not really gone in and said, we're really going to compete with Man United for Alexis Sanchez.
Sure.
And I feel like Alexis Sanchez, Hazard and Morata is probably the best front three in the league. So maybe alongside Man City as well, but they've got a better coach. But I can't believe they're not going for Sanchez and they are going for Peter Crouch. But what do you guys at home think about this weird Chelsea business? Carroll, Crouch, Drinkwater, Barkley. Why is it happening? And is Antonio Conte going to last till the summer? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. The next question comes from Stanny Boy, who says, what do you guys think of VAR so far? Obviously, we've seen it in a couple of games in England. It's been implemented across Europe. Pato, let's start with you. Opinions on VAR?
Well, everyone was praising it the other day after Kelechi Iheanacho's goal in the FA Cup was ruled onside. I think it had initially been disallowed, but they said it did count. He was onside. And now everyone's going mental about it because Willian got booked for diving. He should have had a penalty, apparently.
Definitely should have had a penalty.
I mean, I didn't watch it. I don't care.
Yeah.
But look, these seem like normal teething problems. It's quite a complicated system. It's extremely early days. And people are very resistant to change in football. They don't like the idea of changing anything, even when it's ultimately for the best. I think that in the long run, VAR will prove to be really, really helpful. I think we won't have the same criticism of results afterwards. So at the moment, you hear a lot of this stuff where people say, oh, over the course of a season, those results even out. No, they don't. They honestly don't. Like, look at the Arsenal penalty against West Brom.
Yeah.
You know, like, that's in the last few minutes of the game, and Arsenal dropped 2 points. I don't see how that evens out over the course of the season.
It's rubbish. That's such a rubbish phrase.
Well, you're like, yeah, look, what you mean is teams get good luck and bad luck, but do you think that the points total exactly comes up level? No. I think that VAR pretty much is going to result in a fairer game, and it's going to mean that after the match, maybe we actually talk about tactics instead of just the decisions. You know, if you go on Match of the Day, if you watch Match of the Day, which I don't anymore, then all you see is the pundits saying, like, was this a penalty? Oh, was that a handball? Or should this been a red card? And you're like, why don't you actually tell me something about the tactics of the game? So anything that takes focus away from decisions and onto actual gameplay, I think is for the best, and that's what I think VAR will do in the long run. Yeah,
because for a long time, managers have used the excuse every single post-match press conference, you know, that the decision went against us, that penalty went against us. No longer, they can't have that excuses anymore. That's what I'm most looking forward to. Although I saw an article today, I can't remember which paper it is, it was in, Mikey, which said VAR will ruin the future of football effectively because you're bringing technology into the game. What do you think? Is it going to ruin the future of football?
Well, no. I mean, it is. I mean, surely it is the future of football. I mean, it brings things that have gone in the past into a bit more disrepute. But like, I mean, it's just like a modern development of the game. I think any technological development in any sport is always going to have. You know, there's always going to be kind of arguments against it or whatnot. I remember in tennis when they started bringing in the Hawkeye stuff. Yeah. I remember Roger Federer in particular was particularly kind of bitchy about that. Originally, but
I think the system definitely needs to work.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, of course it does. Of course it does. And I mean, I know, like, not that I really follow the Australian league, but when I'm doing research for Football Mundial, I kind of tend to look at some of the stuff, and almost every single week in the A-League. There is a different manager, whether it be, like, I don't know, Kevin Muscat or whoever, like absolutely ripping into VAR. Like it's gone down so badly with some managers there. Yeah. And obviously that is going to be the case. And obviously there's the argument as well of like, okay, it's a different view, but you know the referee, you know, the ref's view is different from the replay view, and you know that whole argument about that. And sure, it probably does in some way take away a little bit from the kind of the prestige of a referee, because they do, you know, considering the speed that the game moves at now, They do a pretty good job, all things told, I think. But at the same time, considering the speed of the game now, yeah, for sure, they probably could do with some assistance, especially on penalty decisions, on especially, you know, we have goal line technology, but in terms of, like, you know, was a player in the box or outside the box when the foul was committed, things like that are also, you know, those are black and white decisions. So
yeah, I think I've got a couple of problems with it, but I agree. Overall, it has to happen, and it's going to have teething problems. I think one of the biggest teething problems is in the stadium for the fans.
Oh, sure.
I've experienced VAR. I first experienced it in Russia at the Confederations Cup. And there was a sending off incident, and as a fan, you're completely in the dark in the stadium. Nothing is said over the tannoy, there's no announcement or anything like that. The game simply stops, and you can see the referee like this. All the players are a bit confused, everybody in the stadium is a bit confused, and then it comes up on a big board. I don't know how they do it in the Premier League, but it just says VAR decision pending. And you don't know what the decision's about, you don't know who's involved in the decision, and you don't know how long it's going to take. We were there for probably 2 to 3 minutes waiting for a decision to happen. And everybody's like, what is going on? Is this a red card? Is it a foul? Eventually, someone got sent off. We couldn't see who got sent off. We had to wait for the names to come up on the big screen. And I think that is a serious problem. In rugby, the way they combat that is obviously they play the incident on the big screen.
Yeah.
Which is a bit of a risk in football because it is far more partisan. But I personally think they should do it.
Yeah.
If there's an offside decision, show it on the big screen, and that shuts it down in the stadium immediately.
Yeah, transparency.
Transparency, 100%. If it's in and around the box, like you said, a penalty, is it inside the box, is it outside the box, show it on the big screen. At least as a fan, you know what's going on then, and you can, and then you get the same thing in cricket, and you get the same thing in tennis. People see the Hawkeye, that sort of buzz, is this going to happen? Oh, yes, it's a penalty. And I think that would be a really easy way of kind of appeasing the people in the stadium a little bit. It would have to be careful in terms of if somebody breaks a leg or a 2-foot tackle or something like that. Don't know whether you want to show that kind of stuff at certain stadiums. And there's also the problem that not every stadium has a big screen. I don't think Old Trafford has a big screen, which is a madness. So you would potentially have to install certain big screens at certain grounds, but I think that would be worth it. As for referees, I think there's a little bit of a worry amongst the referee community, although they wouldn't admit it, that they are almost nervous to go to the VAR. We saw it in that Chelsea game with the Willian incident. He had to go to VAR for both that decision and the other decisions. He obviously sent Morata off for diving and kind of appealing, and he sent Pedro off for diving, and he booked Willian for diving. Not one time did he go to VAR.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, right? The referee has to decide to go. The VAR can't just buzz in and be like, hang on, I think you've got something wrong. And it's an admission, isn't it, that you're not sure?
Exactly.
Like you have
That's
to say,
the biggest worry.
I'm not sure.
But all 3 incidents, why not just go? If it comes back you're correct, then fine. But you have to go for it, because as a referee, if you don't, then you look even worse because you've cocked the decision up and then you've cocked the second decision up. It's back-to-back cock-ups, which they don't have at the moment. So I think it's going to get better, and in the future, it's definitely going to be worth it. But a lot of teething problems, and I'm nervous about it being introduced into the Premier League as early as next season, and especially at the World Cup. World Cup final decided on VAR decision. Controversy. But what do you guys think of VAR? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? How do we sort out the teething problems? And what should we do about the fans watching in the stadium? Let us know your thoughts on VAR in the comments below, and send us some tweets about it as well, because we're all on Twitter on these handles. The final question of the day comes from Merengue Boy 2000, and he says, Real Madrid, how do they get out of this crisis? They're in 4th at the moment in La Liga. They're 19 points off of Barcelona. Effectively, La Liga is gone. They're focusing on the Champions League, and even there they've got PSG, so not an easy run to the final. I think they've got to go back a little bit to the Real Madrid of the old days, the Galactico era, a tiny bit, because I think recently Zidane has obviously tried to operate with this new transfer policy, signing these young Spanish players, and it paid off well for the first 2 years. But Barcelona have had a real resurgence under Valverde, and I think the way for Real Madrid to claw that back is to sign some superstars. Benzema's not getting any younger, Bale is consistently injured, Cristiano Ronaldo, I know you're going to talk about in a bit, Mikey, is probably going to leave pretty soon, and those players cannot be replaced by young Spanish talent. Those players have to be replaced by established superstars. I'm sorry, they do. You can't get that output immediately like Real Madrid need from young Spanish players, and with the likes of Neymar kicking up a fuss at PSG, obviously there's the conspiracies, isn't there, that, oh, he only went there for a year so he could eventually join Real Madrid. I don't think it's going to happen, but that's the sort of calibre of player you need to be going for. Go out and bid for Paulo Dybala. Go and get Lewandowski. Obviously, there's a report in Marca that they are going to sell Ronaldo, Benzema and Bale and bring in Hazard, Lewandowski and Neymar. Obviously, that's not going to happen because it would cost like £1 billion. But that's the sort of level of player they need to be targeting, in my opinion. The Hazards, the Dybalas, the Lewandowskis, not the sort of young Spanish players that could develop into the next Hazard. They need the immediate answer right now, Real Madrid.
Yeah, I mean, you say that, but I mean, I think Asensio would fit in fine in a superstar forward line, surely.
But he's developed over the last 2 seasons to being on the periphery of a superstar. Do you think can Real Madrid legitimately go another 2 seasons, finishing 19 points off Barcelona?
No, of course not. They do, yeah, they do need an overhaul. I just think they do have some. You know, they have one player at least who can.
Yeah, you got Isco as well. Isco as well, definitely.
But in terms of forward line, yeah, I mean, it's actually pretty interesting with Cristiano Ronaldo. Like, it actually looks like he could go like in not too far in the future, which is something that until very, very recently I didn't think was really on the cards at all. And obviously we spoke about him in transfer review about the possibility that Real Madrid are actually open to offers who would actually take him off their hands with the kind of wages that he's on, and probably the kind of transfer fee that they demand is another question. But yeah, this new AS poll, which apparently 125,000 Real Madrid fans took part in, 67% of them want Ronaldo to leave the club in the summer, which is pretty crazy. I mean, they've always had a bit of a weird relationship with him, despite his obvious, like, you know, the amazing things he's done for the club. But obviously, it looks like his drop off in goals this year, plus that kind of relationship has resulted in them wanting him to clear off.
I think as well, he just continuously throws tantrums. Every time somebody gets a bigger contract than him in world football, or every time somebody is scoring more goals than him, he wants a new contract, he wants to play in a different position, he wants a different role. He must have thrown 10 to 20 tantrums at Real Madrid, and I think maybe now Real Madrid fans have just had enough.
Yeah, sick of it. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, like especially with the whole hoo-ha last summer with the kind of the whole kind of tax investigation. Oh, I want to leave Spain and something. Yeah, it is kind of real crybaby stuff. But yeah, and when they, I guess, you know, when they get rid of him, they'll need someone of a similar caliber to come in. And you look at PSG's forward line at the moment of Neymar, Cavani, and Mbappe. That is the kind of thing that they need to be kind of replicating.
I actually do agree with you on the point of view of a superstar. Like, normally I think that you can just build your squad cleverly and you'll be okay, but you look at Real Madrid and I don't know who the guy is who makes their attack world class if they sell
100%.
That front line. Like, Bale when he plays is phenomenal, but he's 28 and if you can get 100 million euros for him, you should do it now. Same for Cristiano Ronaldo, to be honest. And the problem is people like Asensio and Isco, they are very, very good, but to a certain extent you don't know whether they can run that attack on their own, because what tends to happen with young players when they play with really, really great talents is they look better than they are. You know, great talents tend to bring other talents into their orbit, and as a result, everyone's goals and assist numbers go up because they're being passed to by Messi, or the person they're passing to is Ronaldo, and so those passes turn into assists. Yeah. Or the pass from Messi turns into a goal. It's just, I'm not sure I'd be ready to hand Asensio kind of the keys to the kingdom, even though I think he's a really, really good young player. I think that Dybala would be sensible. If they got Dybala and Hazard and said our front line's going to be Hazard, Dybala and Asensio, then I'm good. Then I'm good with it. Yeah. But this is definitely a situation where they need to get the checkbook out, and they've missed out on some great talents over the last few years. They could have gone and got Ousmane Dembele. They probably should have gone harder for a Pogba or a Naby Keita. Definitely should have gone harder for Mbappe. Yeah, definitely should have gone harder for Mbappe. And you start to worry a little bit. Like, are they going to have to wait till Pulisic becomes like an absolute world beater? He's already very good, but he's a young player as well. Yeah. And suddenly you're needing transition out of it, out of this generation of players. 10 of their 23-man squad at the moment is 28 or older. And that includes Sergio Ramos, Keylor Navas, Marcelo, Ronaldo, Bale. Because how much longer can Modric stay at the top of his game? And Kroos is 28 as well. You know, while I think Zidane hasn't been bad enough that he should lose his job, I do worry about his ability to transition into the new generation of Real Madrid talent. And that is why I probably would go for somebody like Pochettino if I could get him. We talked about Pochettino over on Continental Club and how good he might be for Real Madrid. And he's a guy who would really bring through the young players, and you could see him adapting to the lack of a superstar forward.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, I do worry about it a little bit. If Zidane's main talent is man management, and at the moment he's not managing the men properly, I don't really know what he's got to justify the faith it would take for him to spend, I don't know, 300 million, 500 million, who knows?
Yeah. But I think we're all in agreement Real Madrid need to get their hand in their pocket. Not convinced about the market report, £500 million for Lewandowski, Neymar and Hazard. But those are the level of players they need to be attracting. But what do you guys think? Should they stick with their current transfer policy of signing young Spanish players, or should they get the checkbook out and go back to Galactico ways? You can vote in the poll above Mikey's head right now. So that's the end of Sunday Vibes. If you want to get your question answered next week, hit it up in the comments below. 90+1 Pato, what's happening over there?
90+1 fact about Ronaldinho. Ooh. Still a big name. Exciting, he's retired, but it'd be nice to have a little retrospective on his career, and Kieran has put one together for you. Everything you could possibly want to know about one of Brazil's greatest icons.
Yes, indeed. Mikey, what's happening on EuroFootball Daily?
Yeah, Stat Wars yesterday, as always, an absolute cracker. Football Mundial last Tuesday coming up as well. Stay tuned for the latest news from around the world. And yeah,
transfer review as well. Yeah. Transfer review, these boys were on talking about Cristiano Ronaldo's move to potentially Manchester United, to another big club. But anyway, that's the end of the show. Thanks so much for watching. We'll catch you later.